Breaking Truth Network takes you deep inside the legal battlefield of America's immigration raids. What are your rights when ICE agents show up unannounced? What happens behind the doors they force open and the mask they hide behind? Under the Trump-era directives, ICE agents are sweeping across cities, targeting not just violent offenders, but families, workers, people with no serious criminal history. So what's legal? What's not? And what are your rights when the knock comes to your door?
Josh Kols is a criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, about the rules of the road when it comes to these ICE raids. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me go right through a couple of things, and this is from the Immigration USA website. And I was looking through ACLU and other immigrant activist websites. I was amazed at how much they preached compliance. I expected it to be much more resist, don't give them anything. Quite to the contrary.
And the reason why the organizations like the ACLU and others are advocating, peacefulness, so to speak, is because, if you give the government an opportunity to arrest you, they will. And if you don't have status in the country, that could lead to, deportation or removal or even other charges like assault on officers. And, you can't harass or touch government employees. But of course, you can't have, some type of civil disobedience.
We sat down with criminal defense attorney Josh Kols, a man who's worked both sides of the courtroom, prosecuting and defending, to ask the question every American should be prepared to answer. What are the rules when ICE shows up? First off, can ICE detain you without a warrant?
Can ICE agents detain people without a warrant?
Well, the answer is yes. If they see that somebody in front of them is committing a border crime, like an immigration crime or a drug crime, and they have probable cause that this person is doing something illegal for those types of crimes in front of them, they can absolutely do so. Otherwise, they do need a warrant. And in order for ICE to come into a building, for instance, they need more than just a warrant. It has to be what's called a judicial warrant, signed by a judge, not an administrative warrant. So, what we've been counseling our clients in these situations is that if an ICE agent comes to their front door, the people inside the house are permitted to ask the ICE agent, for a copy of the warrant first before opening the door. And they need to make sure that it's, again, a judicial warrant signed by a judge. But if the ICE agent does have a judicial warrant,
never open the door without seeing that warrant. You have the right to request it. You have the right to make them slide it under the door. If it's not signed by a judge, you don't have to let them in. And no, it doesn't matter if they shout. Your door is your line of defense. Teach your children, do not open the door. Even if they flash a badge, even if they say it's urgent, unless they have a judicial warrant, they are not allowed inside.
They can properly arrest anybody that is on the warrant itself.
Josh, what if there's criminal activity suspected within that house? Can the ICE officers bust in?
That's a good question. So if there are exigent circumstances, meaning that if they don't burst into the door, there's going to be some sort of destruction of evidence, they certainly are permitted to do so in limited circumstances.
Just to clear this up, because people talk about this all the time, simply entering the country, that is a crime.
Well, it depends. Now, anybody entering the country has to do so at a port of entry. So if you're coming across by land, you have to come through. Like in Arizona, we have 5 ports of entry. You can come through, Nogales. You can come through Yuma. And there's various other ones.
Sure.
If you don't cross through the port of entry, that is a legal entry, despite whether or not you're an illegal alien or a U.S. citizen. You have to go through the port of entry. And same
Okay,
thing
if you've entered the country illegally, that is a crime.
Yes, if you do not have status and you are present in the country, it is a status crime. It's the equivalent to trespassing. You don't have permission to be on somebody's property. That person gave you notice that you weren't supposed to be there. They can call the police for trespassing.
Got it. Okay.
That's what this is in a nutshell.
ICE agents are allowed to wear masks. And yes, they often do. Why? To hide from the public, to shield themselves from accountability, to avoid retaliation. But once they make an arrest, their names go on the record, and lawyers will dig into every action they take. Here's what ICE isn't telling you. 29% of those arrested had criminal convictions. 25% had charges pending, but 47% labeled as other immigration violators. That means no criminal convictions, no violence, just paperwork violations, expired visas, or crossing the wrong fence. And yes, ICE can arrest a parent even if their child is a US citizen. There are no exemptions for family status. The law doesn't blink.
Can I throw at you, this is from the National Immigrant Justice Center. This gets back to what I alluded to at the top of the program, that even in their directives to people, and they're very pro-immigrant, they say under the section, defend your rights. Stay calm, don't run, argue, resist, or fight the officer, even if you believe your rights are being violated. Don't lie about your status or provide false documents. If you are a U.S. citizen, have lawful immigration status, show your passport, legal permanent resident card, work permit, or other documentation of your status. If you're over age 18, they're advising you carry your papers with you at all times. Is that onerous?
It's good advice because your statements and actions can always be used against you later on. And you don't want your, let's say, your obstructive actions to be presented to an immigration judge when you're asking the judge to allow you to have status in the country. What you want to be able to show is that you were polite, that you provided your identification, which is required by law. So the only thing that you ever have to provide to law enforcement is your identification. So you can either do it the easy way or you can do it the hard way, but otherwise they're going to find out. And then lastly, never lie to law enforcement, especially ICE agents, because it's a federal crime. So even if you have status in the country, if it's shown that you lied to ICE agents, you can still get charged with a felony. So that is very good advice.
You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to tell ICE agents anything about your immigration status. And you should absolutely don't have to hand over fake documents. That's a federal crime. What's really happening on the ground? Josh tells a story of a woman turned in by her neighbor. She was commuting to work when ICE boxed her in, shattered by window, and arrested her in the street. All because of an anonymous call. Since Trump's crackdown, border crossings have dropped to historic lows. The cartels stopped advertising. The message from Washington? America is closed. The tactic? Fear. The goal? Self-deportation. But Josh makes one thing clear. The agitators on the streets? Not the immigrants. Most undocumented families stay quiet, afraid to even be seen. The last thing they want is a camera, and that what makes it easier for ICE to operate in the shadows. This isn't just about law enforcement. It's about fear, power, and policy. Whether it's Trump, Obama, or Biden, ICE follows the same legal framework. The only thing that changes is the aggression, the optics, and the targets. So what can you do? Learn your rights? Share them? Teach your family? And don't open the door unless the Constitution opens it with you.